What's up? It's your favorite attorney. Y'all, I know I've been missing. Y'all, the courts are going crazy. They're setting everything is crazy. And I'm a litigator. So, honey, I be in court fighting, fighting, fighting. Okay, so our legal question of the day deals with divorce and abandonment. Let's get it on and let's read. We don't want to delay this any further. See what this email says, guys. Make sure you press your like buttons as well, please. Okay, so this is a separation question, and this is from Sherman, Texas. My ex-husband worked in the oil field when we filed for divorce, so although we were set up for standard visitation, we knew that wasn't possible. Plus, my daughter didn't know him much, with him being out of town the majority of the month. He would get her about one Saturday a month sometimes. He would keep her overnight at his mom's and return her Sunday because he didn't have a permanent dwelling, which is true for some truck drivers, guys. This was in 2018. He was still paying child support and would just let us know when he was in town for small visits. Fast forward to 2019, 2020, his anger started coming out as he was in town more. I'd invite him to basketball games. My daughter was in third grade. He was losing his temper with her on the court. Embarrassing. The family even grabbed my throat in the parking lot. Okay. We'd asked him to participate in co-parenting classes, one-on-one therapy with my daughter so she can explain that his anger scares her because the basketball game was just one instance. So I guess she's trying to say there have been multiple instances of his anger outbursts. We tried many fences. With the exception of a few holidays and one birthday, he hasn't shown up. Child support completely stopped. Today it apparently caught up with him and they garnish his wages. He said have her ready Friday. Is this okay? Okay, guys. Now, you say divorce and separation, so I'm trying to just follow everything. But you're asking me questions with respect to the child custody issue. Let me start with divorce because they're two separate. Okay? A lot of people don't know in a lot of jurisdictions you can get a child support order while you're married to somebody because of the fact that men leave the home or women leave the home and you're stuck with the children. The children have to be provided for 24/7 regardless of whether the parents are actually cohabitating and together or not. We are a community property state here in Texas. We don't play that, and we want to make sure the children are provided for. So although there is no legal separation in Texas, we kind of created with a child support order if you have children, and it puts an order in place for visitation of even married people that are no longer together, as well as child support, because of course children have to be provided for at all times. So, with respect to divorce, honey, it seems like your husband abandoned you. And if he abandoned you in Texas, you can file a divorce based on abandonment. There are 7 grounds for reasons that you can get a divorce here in Texas, and abandonment is one of them. Okay, physical abandonment, your partner's gonna have to leave and stay away for at least 1 year from you, and that is abandonment. Now it's a little bit more complicated than that, but that is pretty much what it takes for you to be able to prove that you were abandoned by your spouse. There's also emotional abandonment, where a spouse just does not care about you anymore, does not speak with you, does not sleep with you, does not cohabitate with you, or maybe they're physically in the home but they could care less about you and they make that known. They have a girlfriend, they moved on, blah blah blah. So that's also adultery, but there's emotional abandonment as well. You may not be able to know whether they've talked to somebody or not, but they are not talking to you, and you all don't have a relationship. You don't function as husband and wife, although you're in the same house. That is emotional abandonment, and that can also be grounds underneath abandonment as well. Okay, so it looks like you've been abandoned, hun, and you need to go ahead and file for your divorce. I would, you don't ever want to be put in a situation where you're not valued. That can help hurt your mental health, your spirituality, and you got to be strong. It seems like you have the child with you, so you need to make sure that you are in the right state of mind to be able to raise that child. A lot of the times we don't realize children are resilient and they are able to deal with change much better than adults are. It's been proven. So at the end of the day, it's better that you be in a situation that's good for you. Your daughter will get over the fact that you're not married. Seems like she's having problems with him anyways herself, and you're gonna have to show her how to be a strong woman because you're the woman and you have a daughter, and you got to show her that she cannot accept just anything from a man. The worst thing is when people come into my office after being married for 40 years, 30 years, 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, or being in these long-term relationships with men, and they got married and then it didn't last but for 3 years or 4 years, knowing that a woman is giving up so much of herself and her life to somebody who just plain doesn't care or was not treating her and valuing her at the same rate and in the same way that she valued him. So make sure that you do what you have to do to protect yourself, and you also want to make sure that you are a good example to your children, not only to girls but guys, to boys too. Boys look at what happens in their home as a way to discern how they should be and what type of family they should have, and you don't want to raise a bunch of dogs. Okay, so women, when you have men and your husband's mistreating you or your boyfriends are mistreating you, you have to make sure you kick them to the curb to show your sons, hey, this is not acceptable. You don't take this from anyone, and this is what's gonna happen if you mistreat a woman. You might care about her, you might love her, but if you mistreat her, she's going to leave. So make sure you do what you have to do for your children, okay, ma'am? So you probably need to go ahead and file that divorce. Another thing is, guys, when you're at fault for divorce in Texas, there can be what's called an award of unequal distribution of the estate, meaning the community property estate can be divided, and it may not be divided 50-50. If you are the fault of the breakup of the marriage and it's not just simply irreconcilable differences, that's a problem, because whoever is at fault can end up getting less than they're supposed to get, because the law says that it's a sliding scale. It's a community property state, but it's a sliding scale. And if you are the reason that your marriage is breaking up, then hey, you are going to have to suffer the brunt of that in the divorce property division, okay? And I always tell people, if you're just falling out of love with somebody, don't just abandon them. Don't just do them any kind of way. Go ahead and let them know. Get divorce filed and move out, okay? But break that marriage off. You don't hold somebody hostage and then mistreat them, okay? That's not appropriate. Now, if a man has asked for a divorce and the woman refuses to give it to him, that's not cruelty. That he's not, the fault and breakup of the marriage. He's let her know, and just for whatever reason they don't have the money to file, that's different. But I'm talking about the men, and y'all know what I'm talking about, that know that they're married, behave like they're married, mistreat their wives, and move on to other people while they're still married. That is inappropriate behavior, and the court frowns upon that, and I pity the fool that's going to stand in front of a judge when they're treating somebody that way. Now we're going to move on to the child support issue and the child custody issue. At the end of the day, I never really think that this is the best thing to do, but a termination of parental rights can happen if somebody has not paid child support and has abandoned the child for 3 years or more. Okay, it doesn't look like that she has grounds to do anything with respect to termination of parental rights, and you also have to be careful when you terminate parental rights of a child with their birth father or their biological father, because you put them in a pit. Even if you do a step-parent adoption, you put them in a pit where they don't know who they are, they're kind of lost, and you have cut ties with somebody who they really may want in their life. Just because the person isn't paying child support doesn't mean the child doesn't like the father. The child may love that father, and you are the person that isn't getting the child support, so you're upset, but you may do something that may harm that child emotionally and physically, and I've seen it happen. And children, I've seen children go through things where they want to harm themselves and go to school, and then you got a CPS case because you terminated, okay? Or you're really putting too much energy into the fact that the man doesn't want to take care of the child. If a man doesn't want to take care of the child, get your child support, honey, and move on. You have to try to put somebody in that child's life that's a better example for that child, but you don't take that child completely away from their parent. Even though, the parent is not doing what's right, that is their parent, and people tend to love their parents as shitty as they are. So, you don't have what you need to terminate. I don't think termination is a good thing. What you can do, ma'am, is go ahead and modify. You can modify. And a lot of times with teenagers, it's easy to modify that visitation out and to set it up as mutually agreed upon, or terminate it. Strike that, or restrict it to where it's less, maybe once a month. Because at the end of the day, children are able to speak for themselves in the court of law when they're 12 and up. You can file what's called a motion to confer with the judge, and they can speak with the court. The court has the ability to grant a motion to confer with the child for a child that's younger than 12 if the motion is filed in good faith, and if the court hears that motion and decides that they want to hear from that child. What the court does not want to do is emotionally damage anyone's child and put children through things. Judges have robes on and they're scary to a child, and you never want to put a child in a position where they're trying to talk to somebody in a scary robe, or they're coming to court and testifying, because a lot of the times their testimony may be skewed because they're just uncomfortable. Okay, children don't really make good witnesses, and you putting them in high stress situations may not be the best thing for their mental health. So the court tends to frown on that, but will speak to these these children if the court feels that the children are strong enough to handle it and they need to hear what they have to say. Sounds like in this particular case, ma'am, you need to file a motion to modify, and then you need to get the mental health records of the child ready to go. And you need to file a motion to confer. If this girl is if she was in third grade or she's in fourth or fifth grade, the court may determine that she's old enough to talk about it, especially if she wants to talk about it. But even if you're unable to let the court talk to her, you can be able to prove this by getting therapy for the child, and basically what she tells the therapist and the findings that the therapist make can be utilized in court. Sometimes it may be restricted, but it can be utilized. Another thing that you can do is file that motion to modify that visitation and have the court appoint an attorney for the child. It's called an Amicus Attorney. That means friend of the court. That Amicus Attorney is going to come on in. They're going to talk to that child. They're going to make friends with that child. And they're going to be able to know how that child feels. And then they will stand in that child's stead, meaning step into the shoes of the child for litigation purposes and be able to let the court know what's best for that particular child. Now, that can go good and it can go bad. Because sometimes children, when they make friends with those amicus attorneys, tell you things that you as a mother have not heard, okay? And the child is going to be truthful with an amicus attorney. Most amicus attorneys are very good with children. Children are open to them. They like them. They can make them feel very comfortable, and they can get the deepest, darkest secrets out of those children. So if you are pushing your child away from that man, that normally will come out with that amicus, and that doesn't look good for the parent who has primary custody and managing conservatorship. However, it can work in your favor if what you say is true and that this girl is damaged. But it seems as if she wants a relationship with her father, so what you have to do is just make sure you're able to foster that relationship in the best way possible. So those are your options. Make sure that you look at them. Make sure that you get an attorney, because I'm only looking at just a short blurb of a long period of your life, and I'm just kind of telling you what your options are on a surface level. So don't take this as pure advice. Of course, you're not a client of mine, but I'm just able to let you know based on what you tell me the best thing is to do, or what your options are, because I won't even tell you what the best thing is for you to do. You got to determine that. You're going to have to hire a lawyer, let that lawyer help you through. But those are your options, guys, and if you're in that particular situation, that's pretty much where you are, and those are the things that you can do. Make sure you add me on Instagram at she_ya, that's YA_lawyer. Make sure you look for me on Facebook. I'm underneath my name, Allie Booker, Allie Booker, ALLIE Booker. And make sure you send me emails, guys, because your email very well may make this channel, and I may be able to answer your questions for you live on video. Thank you, and y'all have a fantastic day. Enjoy yourselves. Make sure you live up to your full potential. Don't let relationships bring you down. At the end of the day, relationships are supposed to make you whole, not tear you apart. So a lot of times we don't like to let things go that are not good for us, but make sure you do what you have to do to make sure you have all of your mental health, all of your mental faculties in order. And don't let that man run you crazy, man. Y'all are going to psychologists and psychiatrists and things. You got to go ahead and don't put so much faith in people, y'all. Just go ahead with your life. You cannot put faith in people sometimes, and sometimes you want more for people than they want for themselves. And on top of that, guys, you don't get your love and your respect and your self-worth from man. That should be derived from either a spiritual being, a universal being, or just from your own intrinsic self. You don't get that from other people, okay? If I spent my time caring about what people said about me, honey, baby, I would be in a corner somewhere shivering. Have a nice day.